Hey YouTube, how's it going? This is Donald coming to you from Misawa, Japan. This is going to be a very special podcast for me because this guy right here is responsible for giving me my first shot at being a pro drifter, and we'll get into that story a little bit later. But this is Mike Procureur. I messed it up, didn't I? How do you say it again?
Yeah, it was quite okay. A lot better than usual foreigners. It's quite tricky to say Procureur, but it's fine.
Procureur. So Mike here is Belgium native, correct?
Yeah, Belgium national.
Belgium native. And Mike, right away, because we didn't get it the last time we met in person at Nico when I did my event back in 2015, which feels like a long time now. And right after that, I started my business. So I've pretty much been missing from drifting because I've been, starting a business, and you understand how, difficult it is. Is for you is a little bit different because your business involved drifting. So you were there at the same time while drifting. So being involved and everything.
Exactly. Yeah.
I went away and I didn't, we didn't get a chance to chat because I know it was a very tight schedule. So I wanted to ask, how did you even get started? Like, what was your first thing, motorsports wise, and how did you even get into drifting?
Oh, it's a long story. It's a lot more year than 2015. Just for the details, when you ask me about the podcast, I say, when did I first met with you? It was like 2017, 2018. I say, no, it's more. It's even 5 years. Yeah. Years. And for me, started for my motorsport. It started as soon as I can walk because my brother and my dad are motorsport fan also. We are all motorsport fan families, 2 wheels and 4 wheels. So my dad brought me to motorsport events. I was 5-6 years old. So I got that from the beginning. About drifting, it's still I still have the image in mind because every Friday nights we were meeting with motorsport addicts friends. I was living in France at the time and working in France. And one Friday night there was a big parking lot. We were 30, 40 cars, and one friend of mine started to do drifting around the roundabout. And we were like. So he came back on the parking and I was like, what the fuck you doing, man? He said, this is drifting. I said, what? And then I start to search on the internet and I found a D1 GP video on YouTube between Tanaka and Nakamura. So the old R34, and it was the orange S15. I think it was from Team Orange at the time, so Tanaka, 2003, I think, 2003, and this is how it starts. And then I bought a S15, and I try myself at drifting also, and this is how the thing started. Some friends were good. I was not that good. So I said to myself, maybe I should organize rather than drift myself. and then, the idea popped up also, a group of friends, and say, okay, let's make some of them were drag racing, into drag racing. I was also before into drag racing, and some others into drifting. So I said, okay, let's make something. Popped up the name, let's say something. We realized that organizing a drift event was, if you make it local, national, or international, it's still the same. The same place, the same people, the same requirements. It's just the attendants, the drivers are different. So I say, okay, let's make it big. And the name King of Europe came in mind to sound big. And then we started to post on forums. First, we had the drag event in June 2005, and then in September 2005 we had our first drift events, and we had 25 drivers from 10 or 12 countries for the drift event. So, and then the thing started.
Yeah, I remember because I fought. 2003 was when I got my first car. It was S13. I found out about drifting around 2001. And so it's almost the same time, like as you're older than me, so you were already drifting, and you guys start. So I followed King of Europe from the start, because I was because in America, Formula Drift at around 2003, everything getting started there. Then of course already D1 GP was going, but I was at the time I was not military, and so it was like. I was like, hey, I'm actually looking forward to going towards Germany because I always play Nürburgring on Gran Turismo. So I wanted to go to Germany. So I was like, oh, if I go here, I'd be able to check out King of Europe. And I never knew I would get to meet you and be driving and all these people I meet because of drifting. So it's kind of cool to see, like, you were starting in drifting at that time, starting a series. And so as far as organizing, did you go to any other Formula Drift or D1 GP events first, or to see how they're organized, or you just start your own system?
No. D1 GP started 2004. They had an events. D1 Formula Drift 2004, and 2003 was D1 GP in USA.
Yeah.
It was no drift event in Europe, or very few at that time. So I attended some local drift events before mine at the same track. We were in Belgium. Both of our first event in 2005 Dragon Drift were in Belgium. So in this place called Warneton. Maybe some European guys are watching this today. They will remember this. It was an oval track, actually a very small NASCAR style track. So we were starting drifting half banking and then going into the infield, something like in Windale, but in a smaller version. So I went there, I think 2 or 3 times before doing my own events. I judged there, actually. The second or third time, the local guy who was doing national events asked me if I wanted to judge. So he explained me, and then I started my judge career before doing my own events, and also a lot of drag globally. First about organizing a drift events, I learned from those 3 events at that place I've been before, and globally organizing an events. I also attended a lot of events as a driver on the drag side, on the drag racing side, and I knew the mistake that you should take care of, and the number one mistake. That's why also this idea as the reason in our group at that time is. The drag on the drag racing side, the promoter just didn't care of the drivers, and they were just use the drivers to make a show, to get spectator tickets, and thank you, bye bye. So the motto when we started the idea of the King of Europe project was an event made by the driver for the drivers. So to put the driver, and it's still the case, to put the driver in focus and give them a decent track time. And bring them happy. They are coming. They are making the event. So even, of course, the top three guys on the podium, they always go home happy. But you have to send back the 40 or 50 other guys home happy also, because they spend the weekend. Most of them has a job, so they work from Monday to Friday. They spend the weekend with you instead of spending the weekend with the family. They are spending a lot of money, so you have to send them whatever the result they have to go home happy.
Yeah, that's from a driver that drove in the event. I did feel the same way. I did D1 events and everything during D1 divisionals, and it wasn't that the environment was bad. It was just, like you say, they didn't make an attempt to make the driver just came there. You didn't qualify. Okay, see you later. It was not any pleasantries or whatever. Like I seen you personally seen you with my own eyes. You would pretty much every driver that you can pretty much get in contact with that didn't already leave for a tight schedule. You would go to the driver, shake their hands, and thank you for coming and thank you for competing. And I shook your hand and said I will see you again. And it was just a good. It was a good environment. It felt really good. It was the staff was very respectful and very professional, and it was just a very good feeling and environment for me as a driver. So I was saying, man, when I get my business going, I'll definitely be driving in more of the series and everything. And it was, I know you get to talk to a lot of different drivers, but for me to you, it was definitely I felt every aspect of from the drivers meetings to the event briefings, everything was very organized and controlled, so there was not any confusion. Even being in Japan, where you got Japanese drivers, everything, even the Japanese drivers knew. And Tony did a good job of helping with that. Arakaki, he helped a lot with that as well, translations and things like that. So it was a well-run event. I have to say, to date, because I haven't done any other pro events, it was my best event. So it'll take a lot for somebody to top that, I think. So
yeah, it's not easy. We try to do our best. Sometimes we are not perfect. because some unexpected things happen during the events. We are busy also, so it's not easy to. I try to take some free time always on the Saturday to go around in the paddock and say hello to everybody and ask if everything is fine. Because the Sunday usually with the qualification and race, I'm busy from morning to podium ceremony. So yeah, on Saturday when I have some free time, after the registration, when the car, I'm always stressed to start an event, but as soon as I hear the car on the racetrack that first practice is on for me, I'm say, okay, everything's okay. We have, in some countries it's tricky because you have the federation, you have to validate, to show your insurance, validate the license and everything. Sometimes you have an inspector more and more because with FIA coming in, drifting, you have also a tech inspector from the federation in some countries have to validate also the car. So it's getting more stress and more tricky. And but now, yeah, definitely when the sun is on, when I hear some tire shreddings, then definitely I'm more relaxed.
Yeah.
The event is on.
And that's what I was going to ask too about the FIA. What was your involvement with the FIA coming in? Did you have anything to do with the FIA drift event, or did they talk to you about what they should do about doing the FIA drift event at Tsukuba that year? Did you do anything with that, or is that a different?
I was not involved in that one, so I was from the start. I think 2015 or 2016. So I was there till 15, 16, 17, 18. Yeah, I've been there 4 years. They invited me for the meetings.
Right.
So the meetings. So FIA has really two parts. So first, organizing their own events. So like the one you had in Japan for 3 years. And the other side is ruling. Is about making a universal technical and judging rules, and then having sanction events. So it will appear. I think maybe I'm not sure. No, D1 is not yet, and D1 is already official championship from the federation, and you have I think I don't know when an FIA Asia Drift Series, an FIA European Series. So, and for that you have to follow the technical rules. I'm still in touch with them, and even if I don't attend the events because it was quite busy traveling to Paris. The meetings are always in Paris. And Jim Lowe, for example, or the D1 guys, super motivated to fly each time from US and from Japan for a one-day meeting in Paris. But recently, I was speaking with them by email. So they have now an official technical rules, and they would like us for 2021s to inside our rules to say, okay, this is the drifting rules. And this is the FIA rules. If you want to, the rules will be different. Actually, a little difference here and there. But just to say to the drivers, they are asking all promoters look like, because I asked them about FD and D1, they will do the same. To say, okay, if you want to attend an FIA event in the future, this is the rules you have to follow. If you only plan to attend drifting events, then follow the drifting rules. But they want to have the drivers aware of what's the difference between the series you are attending in terms of technical requirement and an FIA sanction event.
And for your series now, which is called Drift Kings International, you changed, first King of Europe, then you had King of Asia, Queen of Europe, you had I think you had the desert. So it was, and I was like, oh, follow. And I remember you had all of the logos. Then like magically one day I noticed it was just one. So what made you other than legit, like what was your reasoning behind combining everything into one title?
So first we started, as you say, King of Europe, and after 5 years we had logo refreshments to get it more sexy, more exciting looking. Then nothing happened to the logo and to the name till the end of 2018, when we were prepared to celebrate. Last year, 2019, was the 15th season. And for the 15th season, I started first to say, okay, I need to do some logo refreshment. And then directly when I say, yeah, but not a logo refreshment only, because like you said, now we had 6 or 7 Facebook page, social media people were confused where to find the information. We had to repost important information on all pages and so on. So I say, okay, let's merge, let's remove this Europe, because at first we didn't think we would go to Brazil, to Asia, and so on and so on. So let's remove these Europe things and keep the King. So okay, King of Europe Drift King International, one logo, one page on Facebook, one social media on Instagram, and that's it. Write it on. So I created the logo actually, and yeah, this is it, and it has been quickly adopted by the people. I think people are also already talking about DK. DK was before. Right. For another thing, but and he was not upset at all, because I'm since 2015 when I first met professionally DK K3 Tuccia. So we are keeping in touch, and I notify him also that change of name. I didn't want him to be offended by copying or being accused of copying. So it was not a problem at all, and so we went for Drift Kings international series, so people knows that there is the European series, Asia series, and so on and so on.
Yeah, so I was going. So meeting Tsuchiya-san, like, how was the first interaction? Far as I know you had translator there and things like that for Japanese to your language. So how was your first meeting with Tsuchiya-san?
My first meeting with Tsuchiya-san was actually in 2005 when he came to Silverstone D1 GP exhibition match, and I took a picture with him as a fan. And then the first business meeting, let's say, was back in 2015 and 2014, sorry, and I went there through Tony Arakaki, and to explain what we were doing in Europe, and I show him first that picture from 2005. I say, we already met. I guess you don't remember.
So many
because
people.
It was just a fan picture, and I show him the picture. Well, he was happily surprised that I still have that picture 10 years later, and I say, I'm doing events in Europe, and I would like to if I want to make something in Asia, in Japan, definitely it has to be with you, and let's try to make something together. And he has been, I think, seduced by this approach, events made by the driver for the driver, because he is also a driver. So I guess he understands the way that how an event should be run for having a good time for the drivers and for the fun for everyone, of course. So yeah, then we decided to have that first event in Nikko together, and then it was the start of this cooperation that's still alive, and that we were still supposed, but I don't know yet if it's 100% confirmed or not this year in November at Nikko circuit. We have to wait a bit more. We said that we will take a final decision mid-June, end June, if we will have or not this event in Japan. Let's see.
Yeah, the coronavirus is really, it's like everything, all sporting events. It's like, even if you watch, like, I play sports like, American football and different things in America, and I don't really watch too much anymore, like ESPN. But I noticed, like, even ESPN, it's like hard for them to do their job because there's no sports. So they only talk about past sports, or now there's like the Michael Jordan documentary, and they talk about that. So it's like all sporting events, all concerts, like everything is stopped. And then many people had to do refunds for, like, if a famous singer, they had to do refunds. So it's like all jobs, everything is worldwide. So it to me, it really is really bad. But only the good thing I see out of this is it lets us know how connected the world is. Like, everybody's connected and everybody need each other to progress. And then to tie in your series to Drift King International, I think it's a great idea because it doesn't limit you to one area and you can travel all around. It doesn't lock you in. So pretty much anywhere where there's drifting, there's enough drivers to have a good event. You can pretty much set up a event anywhere, so it doesn't limit you to only Europe, only Asia, only North America. So I think it's really good. So as far as one thing, I remember reading one of your old bio. So to date, you haven't missed any of your events. Like you've been to every event yourself.
Yes, I think I've missed one
so many.
In 2008, in 2008, we had one event in France, and I had to go to Russia because we had an exhibition match in Moscow in 2008, Summer 2008. So, and we had to make some advertisement at the Moscow Auto Show in April 2008. This one in Australia, also in Australia, I missed one 2 years ago. So I think we are now close to 250 events. I was trying to calculate exactly how much events. So at the end of 2020, we should be close to 250 events, and I've missed you.
That's pretty good because most, even you look I don't know if you follow UFC, like UFC, you know UFC is the MMA.
Of course.
Dana White, he started expanding, so now he doesn't go to all the events because there's a fight in Brazil, there's a fight here, so he goes to the one that is, I guess, more money, so he goes to that event and everything. But he's a busy guy, so I can pretty much not. I was like, man, it's like the same thing for you because you're expanding. You got Desert King, you have Queen of Europe, you have King of, it's all these events, and so as far as your staff, how is your staff selected? Is it people or you just have like tryouts or a resume or?
They basically, we were in contact on the ground. It's not I never hired someone from internet or by posting a job offer. So they are basically all friends and connected to motorsport and fan of motorsport for a lot of years. And most of the guy in the crew had gained their experience from the ground, like Vince or technical inspector, if you remember him.
Yeah, well, is Vince the one no smiling, right? He doesn't.
No. That's Luc Michel. The other one, the skinny one.
Little smile sometimes. Yeah.
Yes, true. And Vince is from Belgium. He's from my
Vince. Yeah,
neighborhood.
We're friends on Facebook.
And so he's a passion for motorsport, and when he came, he helped to make the tech inspection with the previous guy, and then he started to learn. And at that time was no FIA involved yet, like we are speaking about 2008, 2009, 2010, and but still already existing the FIA regulation for rally. And so he was learning the FIA rules for rally, the good practice, the good advice from that regulation to try to say to the guy, no, that's not good. And now that the FIA, the FIA regulation,
yes.
All the pages and so on, even better than a local an official from the federation. I remember in Italy last year. Because I told you sometimes we have two inspectors, my technical inspector and the one from the federation, and the one from the federation was saying no, the technical rules, the official rules are saying this, and my guy Vince was saying no, it's not like that, it's like that. And he was right. Then he came up to me and said, hey, you know what, Mike, that guy from the federation didn't know as good the rules as I do.
Those guys, I come from the military, and a lot of people who write the rules, they normally write the rules and they're not really involved. So they're looking at it from they're looking to I guess not have any situation where they're gonna have to pay insurance money for a fatal accident. And so I understand their whole thing is just safety. They want to keep it safe and
we too.
And they
safety,
but they kind of sometimes they don't like if you look at the F1 situations, like back in the day with, and it might be a little bit different with the Atrion Senna and things like that, where there was favoritism and different things, and they would let some drivers do some things, and so it's like now it's like it seems like everything is balanced, and they try to keep everything even. So there's no favoritism, and there's no team can have an advantage over another team. So I think the FIA, some people, Australia guys, they were like, no, they don't want FIA and drifting, but I think it's a good thing because it makes drifting appear more recognized worldwide versus drifting as being like seems like a renegade sport, or kind of like when snowboarding and skateboarding started. Nobody's seen that as a real sport until sponsors started getting in, and like, you have Motul, you have KW, you have all these different companies who want to sponsor, but they want to make sure they're sponsoring a professional product. So I think again, your drift series has done a lot for international, because the other drift series were just, again, D1 GP was only Japan, and then they started going out, and the Formula Drift was only America. Then they started, FD Japan and everything. Yeah. So I think I can say safely you were the first series to be like on almost all continents, maybe. So.
Yeah, Africa, we didn't go to Africa, but not yet. Yes, sir. But quite the rest of the world we've been there, and with Europe included. I think we've visited like 30 something countries. We had events. We had events in over 30 countries. Middle East. Every different place is a new experience, a new style of drifting. It's also, for me personally, it's exciting to discover always a little different. Every country and every continent has drifting, but in his own way, adapted to the locals, and that's it's still drifting, but slightly different. And I was in Mongolia last year. I went to so far away from everything. Mongolia. I took a flight with a stop in Kyrgyzstan. I don't think that a lot of people have been in Kyrgyzstan also. But and there they built, in the middle of nowhere, they built a replica of Ibizu.
Oh, really?
Yes, with a jump and everything.
Is that like, that's not Estonia, or that's different? Estonia.
There is a jump. There is a place in Europe also with a jump, but it's not. It's just a jump on a racetrack. Yeah. But there in Mongolia is really the Minami replica. I think the Minami with the jump down and then the 180.
I think I see the video. Really, I think I see the video of that before. That's pretty cool. But it kind of comes back to like everybody. Most people can't get to Japan because logistics will get their car here. So I do see like a lot of like places replicating Japanese tracks. Japan is definitely, like you say in the start, Japan is the source of everything as far as drifting. But now I see, again, outside of Japan, other countries, Europe, because Europe had EDC, different series and everything. They're pushing more drivers, and now it's like the drivers are I don't want to say better, but they're just as competitive as Japanese drifters now, because the technology, internet, social media. So you have the guys in America, guys in Australia, New Zealand, all of Europe, because Europe is so, a lot of people don't understand, like Germany, they're all like really close together. So I could think, like, I guess the logistics in Europe is probably easier for you, correct? So you can get around to France, Germany, Belgium, all those places,
exactly.
Right? Yeah. So how many miles or how many hours in the air would you say you have flying, do you think?
A lot of kilometers, like because we have a track within Europe, we have all the equipment in the truck. We don't need to fly anything, and we are driving around Europe because, like you say, everything is connected. It's thousands of kilometers. Most of the part are highways. So but it's like, within Europe, we are doing like 40,000-50,000 kilometers a year for from Evans to Evan. We from the base to the Evan, back to the base, and so on. So flying also, flying a lot of hours. We had crazy years in 2016 and 17 with the 26/7. That was also linked with the federal partnership. Federal wanted to advertise their products everywhere, so we had extra events that were not supposed to be, because we had such great partnership with Federal Tires. They were the most involved brand, I think, in drifting. One of the most involved brand in drifting history, and definitely in Europe, they gave away more than 200,000 euros cash to the drivers. So definitely Federal has the hype to promote, and we had to follow them and to make more events. So those 2 crazy years, 2016, 17, was just flying from place to place and driving in Europe and then flying to another continent and back in Europe. That was crazy, but that was fun, and meeting people is great. Before that, we started in 2012 when we got Daigo Saito. So before having events outside Europe, we brought overseas drivers to Europe. The first time for Daigo to be in Europe was with us in 2012 in Spain and Slovakia. He was also with Hibino and Ariguchi. And that was also a very good experience for the European drivers to see overseas driver, and especially Japanese drivers, the way they prepare the car and the way they drift on the track that the European drivers are knowing very good. So that was very interesting experience.
I think it's the best to do that, to make I think as a driver, because if you stay. Drifting is a competition. It's a competition judge sport. So there's an element, humans are judging you. So it could be like, this guy thinks you're doing well, and then this guy thinks you're doing well. So it's in itself, it's kind of, I kind of relate it to like figure skating, where they're all doing the same thing, but the judges, that one skater does like, an extra triple axel. I'm not sure what the terms are for figure skating, but it's a judge sport. So it's already, a lot of people look at it differently because it's not time attack. It's not F1. It's different. So they see judge like is biased. So people are afraid of it. But I think when you drive with different drivers around the world, you get to learn, like, Japanese guys, when they go in, they initiate really quickly, or some American guys kind of initiate slow and they use the power to bring it in. European drivers are kind of like a hybrid of both. They do high power and they do technical. So it's like, everywhere is different. And I'm American, but my style of driving is Japanese, because I've been here for 11 years. So, so I go back to America, and like, I'm not used to the long, sweeping, wide drifting. I'm used to really, really fast transitions. It's different. It's weird, to say I'm an American with Japanese driving skills. But
it's depend of the judge style also. So you said the driver style, the judge style. That's why it was kind of, not say a shock, but it was refreshing and exciting to bring Tsuchiya in Europe. He was with us for 3 events, and on a well-known track, Lanneau-du-Rhin in France. It's a great track. There they have competition there for 10 years drifting competition. So the locals know the track perfectly, usually with outside clipping points. And then Tsuchiya came and first time saw the track, and he has his own view of what should be the ideal drift line, which was a Japanese view, so totally different. So where usually was outside clips, then he put only inside clips, and the driver were same track, they know it perfectly. And on the first training session, all drivers were totally lost. But after they enjoyed because they had to learn something new, like a different track, new track. So and the good one, and then you see the guys with the best skills, because they can adapt very quickly to new requirements. And we had a totally different line and different race on a very usual track. So there is the driver's type. I think when you are good at drift and you have a judge coming from another, not only Japan, but if you have an American judge coming to Europe, I guess the same is bringing his style to the track that and then turning the things different. And I think this is the way also it's exciting in drift to have new things, new drivers, new judge, new style. We have to keep the hype.
Did Tsuchiya-san drive? Did he actually drive on the track to show drivers, or did he just talk? He didn't drive that day, or? Because I remember at Nico, he was like trying to show the line, but nobody was doing the line. And he said he got Makami-san's 3-up R33 And he was like, yeah, like this. And then then he goes up
there.
Yeah.
Exactly. And I had a laugh. I had a laugh with him, by the way. I think one of the few who had a ride with Tsuchiya-san, and it was really memorable, something to remember for me. No, he didn't want to, because first the driver were asking, oh, let's have a show ride with Tsuchiya-san and so on and so on. But he's very careful about the car that he wants to drive. He wants to drive the car to his settings, and he doesn't want to appear as stupid or unskilled because the car is bad. And then the people, look, he cannot drive. So he was very careful about that, and he said, yeah, that could be possible. We can do that in Europe, but you need to bring me a car. I need to come one day before. I want to test the car. I want to adjust the car and so on. So I said, okay, no, let's get not too much complicated, and let's keep it to judging. And unfortunately, but I guess in Japan, when he did that with the car, he knew the car from before. So he knew that the car was fitting his style, and so that's why he just took the car like this and made the show lap.
Yeah. It's one, this, everybody who, when you get to that level, they can drift anything, but even a pro driver, it takes, maybe 5 laps to kind of really get, the brake settings, the steering input settings. All cars are, a lot of people on the outside looking, anything, all drift cars are the same, but it could be 75 cars, and each car is kind of a little different, maybe more camber, less camber, more tow. Or driving low power, high speed, low power, things like that. So it's pretty cool. And for my thing, drifting, it's not only the actual driver against the driver, it's more like theory against theory. So some drivers think maybe you should shift the engine back 2 centimeter. Some people think you should have small brakes or big brakes. So it's all different, and that's what I like about drifting, because my style, I don't like a lot of power, enough power to be competitive, but also just driving really, really fast. Like if you outdrive the car, then it's a more spectacle. So Tsuchiya, while he can drive high power cars, he prefer like his Hachiroku. It's a low power car, but it's very fast on the toge.
Yes, exactly. And also the difference, like you said, drifting style, but also the type of car and type of engine, especially, even if now it's less different. But in Japan, when we've been there, 2015 was mostly only 4 cylinders, inline 6 turbos. Where at that time in Europe we had LS6 engines already, even a V8 compressor. So also the weight balance of the car is totally different style.
Yeah, so and I noticed like you had Queen of Europe. Do you remember a driver? She's one of my friends, Ramona Rosu. Ramona.
Yes. She won in 2015. I think she won.
She's. I haven't talked to her in a while, but she seems like she kind of got out of drifting a little bit. And then I seen you had Carolina. You were talking to her the other day. Yeah. So did you check out the the drift? It was not drift. It was a hyperdrive when she was driving there.
Yes, she was there, but she was at Nico too. She was at Nico too in 2015, driving. She was sharing S15 with Luke Fink. And yes, on this hyperdrive Netflix. And I didn't see announcement because it should be a season 2. Maybe because of Corona it's delayed also. But
I didn't see about that.
New drivers and new stories.
Yeah, so it was. I think it was her, and it was for Europe. There was the married couple. They were driving BMWs. I forgot.
The German. They were driving. They were driving at us. The Graf family.
Yeah, the Graf.
Graf. Alexander and Corina. They are great people, and they are show and racer. They are both side, and for the Netflix show was perfect. Carolina too. So he's a great showgirl and great driver. You have to have the perfect mix for that kind of show.
For the next season, it should be called Drift, because it was. I thought it was gonna be like maybe autocross or Gymkhana. That event was just pure drifting, and the people who could drift, like the guy from France with the S13 BMW. I believe he would have won. If his car would have not broken, I think he would have been first place, Alex. I forgot his name. I forget his name.
Axel Francois.
Actually, that car in a BMW. A lot of people they don't realize the BMW engine is very strong, and it was
cheap part.
Yeah,
and cheap part. The origin of why he did that is because you can find in Europe you can find cheap BMW gearbox, BMW engine. Just it's an original engine with a turbo, but internal stocks just put some pressure. I think 0.3, 0.4 bar or something. But if the engine breaks, it's like $200 and get another engine in, and that's it.
Yeah,
a lot way cheaper than build a CA18, a reliable CA18.
Yeah, so I was rooting for him because he is just his style and everything, and it was I like his style of driving, and you could see where other drivers were like panicking. He was really relaxed because you could tell he's been in those situations a lot. Have you ever met him has he ever done any drift series or anything?
Yeah. He was competing the last 2 years, to us 2 or 3 seasons, 2016, 17, 18. 19 he appeared only one race in Tokyo in Hungary. He didn't have big success. He had one podium in the 2G last year with us. It was 3rd place, and that's pretty much it.
Yeah. So it was good. So far as the Drift Kings International, like what do you see for once Corona's passed and everything? What's your future, or what are you looking to do for the future and expand? Like, how are you looking to take your company to a different way, or what are you looking to do there?
Different way because of Corona, you mean?
Yeah, well, not Corona, but like for now you have the new series. Are there going to be any new are there going to be like any new changes to like how you do your drift events, or are you going to be the same, or because is it going to be the same format for you?
First we try, and I'm sure we'll have a 2020 season that's starting in September.
Yeah.
The additional problem for us is that compared to a national series like the one in Japan, or you have mostly only Japanese drivers, as soon as Japan lift the quarantine and say, okay, let's go to have an events, then you can restart the series. For us, it's a bit more complicated because in Europe they close the border between each other. So for example, I cannot travel to my home countries. I'm living abroad. I'm living here in Bulgaria. But if I want to travel to my countries, by the road is impossible. By fly is very complicated. I have to go to the embassy to say, okay, I'm from Belgium. I want to go home. They have to give me a special papers to travel and so on.
Too much.
So for us, we'll have to wait a little bit more. For now, my plan is to start mid-September because we have to wait that all the European countries, or most of the European countries, leave the quarantine and reopen the border. For example, for the Italians to be able, we'll have an event in Germany. So for the Italians or the Hungarians or Austrians to be able to travel to Germany, and Germany to welcome foreigners in their country. So it's a bit tricky. I think that national events will restart. I've seen from the French drift series that they will have their first event mid-July. So July opens the national events, drift events, and I hope for us that for the international ones we can start mid-September. So that's the plan for this season. For the future, will it have an impact or no? I don't know yet. We have to make that season and see also how the drivers. If the drivers are also, I think they are motivated. Drift driver are a bit crazy, and now I speak with most of my drivers, and they are excited and they want to burn tire and have fun. So I don't think that Corona will stop them change the mentality to travel abroad, because I've seen globally. I think you've seen also in the TV news saying that most probably people will travel less. For vacation and so on, because they will be scared to travel. I hope it will not impact the drifter, and I think it should not impact the drifters. So we'll see the attendance on the driver's side, and we'll see also the attendance on the spectator side, because for Europe is not that big globally. So also we had at every of our events we have also foreign fans, hard fans who travel 500, 600 kilometers, like weekend trips to discover another city, but also to attend the event. So yeah, we have to see first this year how we are impacted by this international travel. So if the people are more scared to travel internationally for events, and then from that we'll see if we have to adapt or event or change something. We follow the trends anyway. We try to stay focused on what's happening around us and on other part of the world with drifting. Like you said, the world is connected, so it's very easy from home to watch a race in Brazil, in USA, or in Australia.
Yeah, and I think right there, and that's actually a perfect segue, because I believe, again, your series was one of the first to take advantage of like hosting on Facebook for like the events, and the presentation of the events was very, very professional. You have replays, right after the run. So like, how did you who did you guys do that in-house, or do you hire a separate person to do your online hosting for video?
We don't have in-house. We have the video guy and photo shooters and the crew for managing the race. But live streaming is still from different supplier. Okay. We have tested several companies. We had issues also. It's been on the nightmare side. Live streaming on Facebook. Sometimes we had an unsuccessful weekend when there was no live streaming or live streaming with a lot of problem. And sometimes the same crew doing a perfect live stream on run one in let's say in France, and then having problems with communication, with the bit rates, the bandwidth. In last summer was in Austria for no reason. For no reason, the quality of the connection was bad during the whole weekend. And you pretty much can't do anything, because you buy a SIM card, and then the mobile network is not better. Sometimes it's by satellite also. Some countries have specific regulation with satellite as well, like Switzerland. We arrived the first time in Switzerland in 2016, and for some reason, the satellite provider is not authorized to establish internet connection by satellite. You need special paper, but when it's Friday, there's nothing to do. You won't get that paper in one afternoon. So that's the issue also. The big difficulties between making a national championship and an international championship, and going to new countries, and then you discover different things. But we learn. It's experience step by step. We've been almost everywhere, and then now we know the good side and the bad side about drifting organization in almost every country.
Yeah, but again, I think I say again, it's going to be the best product, because again, most people are afraid to take those risks, like you say. It costs a lot of money to get the teams there to do live streaming, and you have issues. So it's like, it feels like money wasting, but it's like you're learning lessons. So like the next time you go back, Switzerland, you have to go 2 weeks prior to make sure you get the paper and all that stuff. And some people but again, your series has pushed, because D1, for a long time, D1 do DVDs, and the DVD would come out almost 2 months after the event, so you already know the results. So when you're watching a DVD, you already know who won, who lost, what happened. Formula D, they started doing live streaming, I believe, a little after you guys, or maybe the same time. But
or maybe even a little before.
And it still to this day, it's not for them being in the States. They have like it drops out, or it's not good, or so. The live streaming is something still. I think it's going to take another maybe 5 years. Because like you say, like you mentioned, the bandwidth and the bit rates, and because I'm a computer, and I know you had a history with computers as well, correct?
Exactly. So, that's my previous life. I was computer engineer.
Oh yeah. I didn't get to that far. I started in high school. I was computer repair electronics. So I right before this thing, I was putting new processor and RAM in my computer to play Assetto Corsa. Because I just become a sponsor for what's called EDC, Electronic Drifts Championship. So I'm not sure if you've seen that, but there's like thousands of drivers who are maybe going to get into drifting, but right now they're very good drivers, and they have a virtual drift competitions. It starts in Canada.
Yeah, I've seen that.
That's pretty cool, and some of the pro guys from different series have gotten involved. And right now, simulation driving, which I came from Gran Turismo, so I got into racing. 1997 is what I got, where I started liking cars, and now because of the Corona, now you see like a lot of people using simulation for to train or go to different tracks and everything. So have you ever done any sim driving yourself or tried it out?
Like you before organizing events like I was had a PlayStation, a Station 2, and was fan of Gran Turismo and spending hours on the European side with we were a fan of the Nürburgring, the Nürburgring, and trying to make the 24 hours of Nürburgring in real, with a game for 24 hours. Yeah, hardcore fan from the start. So I've played a bit, but I always prefer reality to drive the car or to watch the event. It's always better. Even if in this Corona time I've seen a lot of virtual competition, virtual NASCAR and GT races and drifting and so on. I try to watch, but honestly, I don't know the feedback of other people, but for me it starts to be boring very quickly. Classic racing like NASCAR, okay, maybe, but after attending over 200 real drift event and watching a virtual drift competition, it has no taste for me.
It was for me I sponsored it because it was a new thing, and it's just getting more. My shop out there to different people, but it is the same thing. Even though I'm a sponsor of the series, after you watch about, maybe for me it's about 20-25 minutes, and I have 3 virtual machines downstairs, so I can play myself. And the same as in reality. I can't being a driver. It's hard for me to watch like.
Exactly. Playing virtuals, okay. Next time I'm coming to Japan, I'll come. We can have some and play on your machine. That's okay, and we can have a great evening together and laughing and everything. But being passive and looking at virtual games on the screen through internet, it's very boring.
Yeah. So do you think, in your opinion, is it going to be something that maybe in the future would be more bigger, or maybe right now it's just too early still for people to get into that?
To this esports, e-motorsport, and it's growing. From what I see, it's growing, the e-motorsports and so on and so on. So looks like definitely I can understand on the driver's side to it's a very enjoyable now, especially with the machine going so much high technology with a great 100-degree screen and so on, even with the hydraulic system when you feel that's perfect. So on the driver's side, definitely you can get a lot of excitement and emotion in driving like this. I would like to try like a 6 hours endurance racing like this. It would be great fun. But motorsports or e-motorsports, you still live from the. I think the concept is the same from the partner, from the sponsors, and the sponsor wants to advertise it to the viewer, to the spectators. So this is where I'm not sure that you can bring. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong, but to bring 10,000 spectators or 100,000 like you have in Nürburgring, 100,000 spectators watching the 24 hours competition. Can you keep that number of people watching 24 hours of racing? I'm not sure.
Yeah, because I can't remember, but I believe when Gran Turismo started because they had the GT Sport, and then there was a few guys that went from the series. They won the competition for Gran Turismo, then they become actual drivers, and then they drive on Nürburgring and won a champ. I think he won maybe 1 or 2 races. So they took drivers who were virtual driving and then make them into real racers. So it was cool to see, but that it's not everybody can do that, going from virtual to reality. So it's a little weird. Like I said, I'm in a system, but for drifting, it's a little bit different because drifting is to build a good car, it costs about maybe $60,000-$70,000. Then to get to the events and everything. So it's once they see the real life, they're like, I can't afford to do that and things like that. So it would be like, so some guys who are doing esports, it's because they don't want to try to get to the real reality, or it's just they feel like they can never get to that level. So it's a little different. But I just, you've been an actual real life drift company running organizer. I just wanted to ask you that question because I see it maybe 10 years from now becoming something that could be big, and maybe sponsors would come in, and there will be cash prizes and things like that. So what I'm offering as a sponsor, I'm giving away I'm just giving away Drift Tengoku magazine. So whoever wins top 3, I give it. So it's for business. It's okay, but hey, Mike, it's almost. I don't want to take up too much of your time. It's almost an hour we're talking here, and I'm really looking forward to once this stuff is all over, the series coming back, and it's going to be like you say, September. You start, then already September. It's going to be like a short season, then right into next season. So it's not going to be a break for many people. I was talking to a guy earlier. He said, for Formula Drift, he's a spotter for one of the pro drivers, and he said there's going to be there's not going to be any breaks between events. So the winner of the year will probably come down to who's most prepared and who car doesn't break.
Exactly. I was talking about it just quickly to finish with Carolina 2 days ago. So that we're gonna have two events in September, and 2 events in October, end of October, and the first weekend of November. Including in that 2 events will be a double round, so one Saturday and one Sunday. And I use your words that you have to have a car ready, a reliable car, not 100% but 200%, because in one weekend. In that weekend, globally, you will win, or most of the driver will lose the championship because maybe some technical problem, or it's not there your weekend. Sometimes it's your weekend, you feel it for the car, and so on, and then sometimes it's not your weekend. And unfortunately, you're totally right. This in all series this year championship is not about the. It will be something different. Still the champion. She was asking me, is going to be a real champion? Yes, of course, it's going to be a real champion, because the guy will make the 5 weekends. He will be on the podium most of the 5 weekends. So he's still a good driver with a good car, definitely. But it will be some disappointment. Maybe another guy would have been champion on a long season, and he missed one weekend and lost the championship because of that.
Yeah, that's what I was saying to my friend as well. It would be. Drifting, I don't think would do it too much because it's a different kind of culture, but it would be like that season. If they are champion, it would say like an asterisk next to their name, because they're like, well, the reason why, because it was a short, but it still is. I think it's still valid because again, it proves who can make all events, who has the good planning. So it's more as I became a professional, it's more than. I had to learn this more than just drifting. Drifting is one aspect of the event. It's mental preparation, your car preparation, your team. When I came to King of Asia, it was just me and one other person. So I was doing my maintenance, and in my suit, and my guys helping, and we still did for. I think that event when I sent you my resume, I didn't drive for 2 years because I crashed my car in the mountains, and it just was really bad luck. So when Tony asked me to be a driver, I was like, I'm confident in myself, but I was like, I don't want to waste time for Mike. I don't want to waste time for everybody else. So I was like, I don't think I'm going to do this. And Tony said, just message him and send your information, and you say, we will give you this chance to drive. And I remember you coming to me and say, like, good job for making it here. So I didn't sleep for like maybe 3 days. And I believe I messaged you, like I almost had a fatal accident as well getting ready for the event because I was rushing, and I was inside of a paint booth. I believe I told you the story what happened because my face was
burn the face. I remember.
So I had an explosion inside my paint booth, guys, and it was really be careful out there, guys. We want to make the events, but you don't want to die. It was so. Of course. Yeah. So.
But this is this kind of emotion, drifting, and also, like D1 running with license. If you don't have the license and so on, the close event. I understand the business model of close events and people knocking at the door and getting frustrated because they cannot enter the events. We try to be different and welcome somebody like you. You're a perfect example and first time, and because we know that it's a great great emotion now in the series. We have kids of 15 and 16 years old. They are great, and they are so much excited. They can already join us in the Pro 2 series, and having fun with us. And we are okay. It's a competition. Okay, we are professional in everything, but we don't have to forget the human aspect. And I'm very lucky to have this job to give emotion to people. Of course, every weekend, emotion to the top 3, to the winners going home with a trophy, but also emotion with people like you, first time and having a great memory, still 5 years. And I hope a lot more years you remember that first weekend with us. And that's priceless. And that's a really, it's a business, of course. I live from drifting, but that kind of emotion that I can see on the face of drivers, it's great. It's priceless.
Yeah. One of my pictures in the background is Nico right here in my S13s. Kind of can't see, but yeah, it was a good event. And then also one of my last questions is you mentioned it's Pro 2, so now you do have divisions in the like Pro 2
in Europe.
Yeah, Europe. Okay, so you have the Europe Pro 2 because I would guess because you're a European based series that you have more drivers come out, correct?
Exactly.
Yeah, so you have to separate. So in your Pro 2 series, how many drivers, like what's the max amount, and also for your Pro Series, what's the max amount of drivers you have in one event?
Globally, over the season, we meet. I think last year we've met like 70 Pro and 70 Pro 2, so it's quite equal. And it depends of the events and where we are located. Around Europe, sometimes we have more Pro 2, sometimes we have more a little bit more Pro. So but globally it's a balance. It's a balance, and I think that the target when I met Tsuchiya in the Tokyo Auto Salon in January was also to have 2 competition in November in Nikko with a Pro and a Pro 2. That would be the first time overseas that we would have such two division in overseas competition, because usually in the nation competition abroad or Asia series we only have one category. And let's see if it's happened. I hope to see you again there.
Yeah.
It's always a pleasure to visit Japan anyway.
Yeah, it's good timing because right now it was 4 years ago. So now it's my business now it's hard to believe I started my business 4 years ago, and the time goes really fast when you're busy already, because Corona, almost summer is feels like it's almost over, but it hasn't even started yet. So it's a weird feeling where the time is going, but we haven't started round 1 of no drift series. Everything is frozen. So it feels for me, and I know for you, as really busy people and you want to accomplish a lot of things, it feels like I don't get started, and now you feel a pressure of next year already is almost here. So how is it going to be 2021? And even in 2021, is it going to be any changes to how many? Because now you have to, as an organizer, I'm guessing you have to deal with the health organizations, they're saying not too many people, or people have to be spread apart. Have you done any of that stuff yet, or any talks with health organizations?
Inside with our crew, definitely. We know that even all crew and the people in the paddock will wear masks, and we will make, of course, recommendation during the registration to our drivers that their team has to have more space. Their team has to use hydro alcohol and mask and so on and so on. Of course, we will establish a recommendation as soon as we start the season. Also, depending on the place where we are, we will have to obey the national recommendation, because in Germany and in France, for example, or Italy, the national recommendation might be a little different. So we'll have to adapt where is the event happening. But definitely we will always take the highest safety level for drivers and spectators and fans. Safety first, like you say. Not only before, say, was only on the racetrack to have a safe racing event, but now also in the paddock and in the tribunes, we will have also safety first for considering the current situation.
Yeah, hopefully, I just hope for everybody that we maybe find a vaccine or something like that, because it's weird to see the world just kind of everything stopped like that. Shipping, shipping from China, everything is slow, and also it costs more money. So now if you have I make some car parts, now I have to wait. They can't produce my part because they don't have the resource they need from Thailand or whatever. So it's just weird, and some customers don't understand the things like that. So it's so much stuff there, Mike. But hey,
it's great. Yeah, crazy and changing things you don't expect, because a lot of people has a plexiglass protection.
Yeah.
This plexiglass. Yeah. You see this trophy here are made by the same material, plexiglass.
Yeah.
So the cost of my trophies is gone 5 times the price.
Yeah.
Because everybody is rushing on this material to get protection.
Yeah.
And so my cup suppliers say that the price is going crazy now to build the same trophy.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's you don't. I guess when it's normal times and everything is okay, you don't. Order. But now, like, I have to strategically order, and also my business is reservation based, so it kind of works for me because customers can never just come and walk in. I don't do walk-in service, so always have to do appointments. So for me, it's kind of okay because I order the parts first. I get the car in. Like I did a R34 GTR. About 1,200 horsepower build, and I did it in 10 days. So start, machine work, finish tuning, customer car back. But I get all the parts before. So if we order everything during Corona, we're waiting until maybe June to get all the parts. Yeah. So it's so right now, my business is okay. I think right now, I got customers until maybe June, July, but after that, it's like I don't know. So hopefully it comes back, Mike. Yeah, I really do. Now, I want to see. I want to see your anniversary. So
optimistic. I'm optimistic. I hope you are also, and I really encourage everybody to be. It's a hard time, and let's be optimistic.
Yeah.
Definitely, the world will change after that, but I don't think it will be major change. It'll be some adaptation and with more precaution. Hopefully to avoid these kind of things to come back. But I really, to everybody I'm speaking to, like you now, or friends or people I cross in my life, to say let's stay optimistic. Some change are coming, minor change. We'll adapt to them, and let's be more careful with health. Definitely in future.
Awesome, Mike. And I'll wrap up on that, man. I guess a good message right there for the people to stay positive out there. And my viewers, you guys are speaking directly to you. Just, get your cars ready. Because right now, if you don't get your car ready, you have all this time to get your car ready. So no excuse when the season starts. So when it's time to start your engine, you got
zero excuse.
No excuse. You should have maybe two cars, spare car and your main car ready to go. So I'm saying that, but I have no cars ready to go because I have so many customers. But it's I want to take care of my customers first. That way I have a good reputation, which I have already. And then once the business is really good, then I'll be able to actually make all events all around. Cause that's my goal that I'm going towards, is to making a whole season with you, all different countries and the logistics of getting your car. So maybe I'll have to have a loaner car, but hey, it's okay. I'll get it, make it happen and complete a full season with Drift Kings International, Mike. So again, Mike, thank you for your time. And
welcome. We are waiting for you, and it was pleasure to speak with you after these 5 years. And I hope to see you again soon. On the paddock.
Yeah, you look the same age though. Like you don't age. You look the same.
Yeah, luckily I have some good DNA somewhere.
Yeah, Mike. But hey, man, be safe over there, and then take care. And then I'll be in touch with you online and everything like that, Mike. So again, thank you for tuning in. I'll share all of your websites on the feed. So the guys who are newer to like your series can watch the videos and see things and get to know your series and everything, guys out there. So guys out there, again, send your questions to podcast@pinkustyle.com. Be sure to subscribe, like, and share the videos. And make sure you guys just tune in, be safe and everything. Make sure you're being safe with your health out there. Guys like me who work all the time, you got to make sure you're getting rest, because if you don't, this is the worst time to make your immune system weak. And I have to make myself not be in a shop 15 hours, 16 hours a day. And so it's a bad habit, a good habit for customers, but for my health, bad habit to work, that long. So be safe out there, guys, and be smart. And I'll see you guys later. And this is going to be Donald signing off for Pinku Style, Masao Japan, and Mike signing off from, you said, what location you at right now, Mike?
No, I'm in Bulgaria. I'm from Belgium, but I'm living in Bulgaria.
Bulgaria. So see you guys later. And
see you
guys later. Peace. Pinku Style. Show me
you.